New footage of Adrien Broner going off on Floyd Mayweather is blowing up online. Broner threatened to punch Floyd as someone beside him begged him to stop, and the tension only got worse from there. But the reason Broner suddenly wants to fight his former mentor comes down to a betrayal. Let me break it down. It happened on a Saturday night in Atlanta. Ray J and Orlando Brown were headlining a Zeus Network card at State Farm Arena, the kind of celebrity boxing spectacle built for chaos. And the crowd included boxing royalty in Terrence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. Adrien Broner was there too, not fighting, but streaming, sitting front row alongside his longtime collaborator Dean the Great. The two of them turning the night into content the way they always do. Somewhere in that stream, with a drink already in his hand, Broner turned to the camera and dropped a line that would end up everywhere by Sunday morning. He said he was going to punch Floyd Mayweather today, not someday, today. And he asked the chat, he asked Dean, he asked whoever was listening, "Are you with me?" That's when Dean stopped playing along. According to the clip that spread across social media, Dean the Great gets serious and gives AB a reality check that he can no longer stream with him if he doesn't put down the alcohol. The exact words, as caught by the account Clip King on X, had Dean telling Broner flatly that he couldn't keep streaming with him if the behavior continued. This wasn't a one-off joke that got clipped out of context. Outlets covering the night confirmed the exchange happened repeatedly, not once. As one report on the incident put it, during their time together before, at and after the Ray J and Orlando Brown boxing match, the streamer told the boxer he doesn't want to stream with him anymore if he doesn't take his health seriously. And at one point of the stream, Adrien threatened to punch Floyd Mayweather. The threat wasn't buried in the footage. It was one of the headline moments of the entire night, right alongside the Ray J bout. Everyone actually came to watch. And Dean didn't let it slide with a laugh either. He got direct. He told Broner on record on stream for everyone to hear. Broner on record on stream for everyone to hear, he can't keep doing this. The line that's now circulating everywhere has Dean saying, "I can't stream with you if you keep doing this FK Sates," followed by "For real though. That's not bad, bro. That's not a friend playing along with a bit. That's a friend drawing a line in front of an audience." What makes this land so hard is the timing and the setting. This wasn't some random Tuesday live stream in somebody's living room. This was in Atlanta, at a real arena, on a night when Floyd Mayweather himself was physically present at ringside. Broner wasn't threatening a man who was 3,000 miles away. He was threatening a man who might have been standing a few hundred feet from him at that very moment. And this wasn't the first time Broner and Dean had run into Mayweather's camp recently either. Back in the spring, a clip had already gone viral of the pair running into Floyd's son, an encounter that got attention because of exactly what everybody already knew, that Broner's name and Mayweather's name never stop being tied together, no matter how much time passes or how far apart their lives have drifted. When you put that earlier run-in next to this new threat, made in the same city where Floyd was sitting ringside, the footage stops looking like a stray comment and starts looking like a pattern that keeps escalating. The clip itself spread fast. Within hours of the stream ending, boxing accounts, hip-hop blogs, and clip pages were reposting the exchange, focusing on two things: the threat itself and Dean's response to it. Because for people who followed Broner and Dean's stream for a while, this wasn't the first time alcohol had become part of the conversation, but it was the first time it got tied directly to a threat against Floyd Mayweather, made out loud, on camera, with Floyd in the building. That combination, the threat, the location, the intervention from his own streaming partner, is exactly what turned this into the moment everyone's talking about. Not a rap diss, not a subtweet, not an old rehashed call-out from years back. A man saying he's going to hit his former mentor today, while that mentor is sitting somewhere in the same arena. By the next morning, the footage had been reposted by multiple accounts, stitched together with reaction clips, and picked up by outlets that cover Broner's ongoing livestream saga. The headline detail wasn't just that Broner made a threat. It's that somebody who knows him best, who's been in the trenches with him on stream for months, felt the need to publicly call it out, rather than let it pass as another bit. To understand why this particular threat hit different than every other Broner outburst over the years, you have to go back, because this isn't the first time these two men's names have been locked together in headlines about anger, disrespect, and fights that never happened. It's just the latest chapter in something that's been building for over a decade. Long before live streams and kick channels existed, Floyd Mayweather and Adrien Broner had one of the most talked about relationships in boxing. Broner came out of Cincinnati as a teenager with fast hands and faster mouth, and by the time he'd won his first world title, he was already being compared to the one fighter everybody compared young punchers to, Mayweather. Broner didn't shy away from the comparison. He leaned into it. He copied the walk, the trash talk, the money persona, the whole aesthetic that Mayweather had spent years building. And for a while, Mayweather embraced it. Broner became the youngest four-division world champion in boxing history and was widely viewed as the heir apparent to Mayweather's throne, and the pair shared a close relationship, with Mayweather mentoring Broner through the defining years of his career. Back then, the idea of these two ever throwing real punches at each other was treated as a joke. Broner openly stated he would never fight Mayweather because he viewed him as family. That's how close it was. Not "I respect him," family. But careers don't stay linear, especially not Broner's. As Broner's career began to unravel, the relationship cooled. Legal troubles, financial problems, and long periods of inactivity replaced the championship success that once appeared limitless. And Mayweather eventually stepped back, leaving Broner to deal with the consequences on his own. That's when the public turn started. Around 2016, when Broner was defending a title against Ashley Theophane, a fighter Mayweather himself was promoting, the two started sniping at each other for the first time in public. Broner started calling Mayweather's company Hateweather Promotions. He told reporters at the time, downplaying it, that "there's no beef between me and Floyd. I do my thing. At the end of the day, I'm just being me. I do this in front of Floyd," me up there saying Hateweather Promotions. "I'm just having fun. I hope no one takes it personally. At the end of the day, me and Floyd are close." Mayweather wasn't as diplomatic. When a video surfaced of Broner throwing money around at a Walmart, Mayweather said it publicly stung him, telling Fight Hype that "someone showed me the clip of Adrien Broner the other day. He was in Walmart. And what was so crazy about the video was, when I looked at it, it kind of hurt my feelings. The person gave him his change back. I guess he had bought something, and he threw the money, or the change, up in the air like, 'Why are you giving me my change back? You don't know who I am?' Broner clapped back almost immediately, pointing out the hypocrisy of a man his own age, lecturing him about burning money in clubs. From there, it escalated into full-blown video wars. Broner posted long, emotional callouts aimed directly at his former mentor. In one of the more raw ones, he vented about feeling abandoned, saying, "We spoke about this before you even put that stout out. You knew I wasn't talking about you. I would never disrespect you, because when it comes to boxing, you're amazing. There might not be another Floyd Mayweather, but at the end of the day, as a person, you're effed up. You falling out with some of the realest ends you got around you? At the end of the day, all I wanted from you is to teach me to do what you did, or surpass what you did. That all I wanted. I just wanted to learn from you. That's not a rivalry built on hate. That's a younger man grieving a relationship that stopped giving him what it used to." Mayweather, for his part, didn't hold back when defending himself either. He pointed to everything he'd done behind the scenes, telling Fight Hype at the height of one dust-up that Broner still had Madonna problems that he'd had to solve for him, adding that when everyone went out there and said negative things about Adrien Broner, he still had his back, always. And when Broner called him and he tried to give him positive advice, even the outlets covering it at the time struggled to figure out if it was genuine or theater. One piece framed it almost like a family dynamic gone sideways, noting there always comes a time when the little brother becomes upset at the big brother, or vice versa. And that's what was happening with Floyd Mayweather and Adrien Broner. Another outlet closed its coverage by just asking outright whether it was a real beef or a publicity stunt. For years, that question hung over every exchange. The insults would fly. Then Broner would insist there was no real issue. Then months later, another video would surface, and the cycle would start again. It became almost background noise in boxing media. Broner venting, Mayweather clapping back, both of them denying it mattered. Then, in 2023, something shifted. Broner did something he'd never done in nearly a decade of public sniping. He apologized, publicly in writing, with no jokes attached. He acknowledged that the most striking part of it is that it directly contradicted years of hostility, when in 2023, Broner publicly apologized to Mayweather and acknowledged that the undefeated legend had tried to steer him away from many of the mistakes that would later damage his career. He wrote to his former mentor directly, saying, "When we first met, you told me a lot. You tried to teach me a lot. Now that I'm older, I can see that you tried to help me." For a moment, it looked like the story was closing on a good note. The mentor and the student finally at peace after a decade of public back and forth. Boxing writers called it one of the most honest moments of Broner's career. But peace between these two has never lasted long. And what's happened over the last several months shows exactly why that 2023 apology was never going to be the final chapter. Somewhere along the way, Adrien Broner stopped being a boxer who occasionally went viral and became a live streamer who occasionally boxes. That shift is the backdrop for everything that's happened this year, and it's impossible to understand the Mayweather threat without understanding what Broner's life actually looks like now. His partnership with Dean the Great is the center of it. The two of them have been streaming together for a long stretch, building an audience on Kick. That treats Broner less like a retired champion and more like a reality character. Someone whose highs, lows, arguments, and antics get broadcast live night after night to a chat room that never stops reacting. Adrien Broner and Dean the Great have been streaming together for a long time, and they developed a strong friendship. But Dean's concern for Broner's alcohol use has gotten in the way of that dynamic. That tension between them isn't new. It's been building for a while, resurfacing over and over. This dynamic is nothing new for the duo, as they have clashed about this over time. The hope being that Broner can stay healthy and get the help he needs, so they can stream without facing as many antics and controversies. The Mayweather threat in Atlanta wasn't an isolated flashpoint. It was the latest, loudest version of an argument these two have clearly had before, behind the scenes and sometimes in front of the camera. And it's not just been drinking. Broner's stream has become a magnet for chaos of every kind. A separate viral moment from earlier this year showed him rushing to show his security team what appeared to be a death threat sent to him mid-stream, footage captured during one of his live sessions on Dean the Great's Kick channel. That clip alone split the internet, some fans genuinely worried for him, others mocking the spectacle of it. As one outlet summarized the moment, the clip spread fast. The reactions were fierce, and the conversation it sparked cut much deeper than a threatening text message, raising questions about where Broner stands right now. Then there's the money talk, which has become its own recurring bit on the stream. Broner has openly discussed extravagant spending on camera, including admitting during one stream that he dropped $80,000 to impress a woman, a story that got repeated across hip-hop outlets. As an example of the larger-than-life persona Broner performs for his audience night after night. But the boldest, most attention-grabbing moment before this weekend's Mayweather threat was Broner's on-stream call-out demanding an exhibition fight for serious money. Sitting with a drink in hand, watching alongside rapper Blueface, Broner turned to the camera and made his pitch directly. He said, "I know you ain't want to fight me then, but it's good to fight me now. I'm back on top again. My name ringing more than yours in the media too," before adding, "100 million apiece. Let's do an exhibition." That number, $100 million each, is what got the boxing world's attention. It wasn't framed as a real negotiation with terms and promoters attached. It was a live stream flex, thrown out into the chat, the way Broner throws out most of his big claims these days. But it stuck, because it was the loudest public swing Broner had taken at reopening the door with Mayweather since his 2023 apology. Boxing writers covering the moment didn't hide their skepticism about where Broner's head was really at. One report observed that the issue isn't whether Mayweather would entertain an exhibition, or even whether Broner genuinely wants the fight. The bigger question is whether Broner can stay sober long enough to train for one. Watching him make the call-out with a drink in hand alongside Blueface, the same report noted it was difficult to escape the feeling that the former four-weight champion is still fighting battles far more important than anything that could happen inside a ring. That's the environment the Mayweather punch threat landed in. Not a clean, focused boxer calling out an opponent for a legitimate fight. A live stream personality. Mid-broadcast, drink in hand, escalating from a $100 million call-out to an actual physical threat. Within the span of a few months, all documented, all archived, all still circulating on the same platforms that made him a streaming star in the first place. And Dean has been there through nearly all of it. The money call-outs, the death threat scare, the drinking, and now the Mayweather threat, which is exactly why his intervention in Atlanta carried weight. This wasn't a stranger stepping in. It was the one person who's watched this entire arc unfold in real time, night after night, finally saying out loud what the cameras had been quietly documenting for months. But the streaming drama isn't happening in a vacuum. Broner's public life right now includes something far more serious sitting underneath all of it. Legal trouble that's been unfolding at the same time as every viral clip, every call-out, and every night on Kick with Dean. While Broner's threat against Mayweather was dominating timelines this weekend, it landed on top of a legal situation that's been building for weeks. And that makes the reality check from Dean carry even more weight. Adrien Broner is being sued for sexual battery by a woman named Havana Saint, who claims he invited her and her friends to an after-party, where he encouraged her to drink heavily. According to the complaint, Saint says she got too drunk to drive home, and took Broner up on an offer to stay at the home where the after-party took place. And while she was staying there, she claims Broner tried pressuring her into performing sexual acts, including sexual intercourse, oral sex, and a hand job. And that he also exposed his genitals to her and grabbed her hand to try to force her to engage. The lawsuit alleges Saint refused repeatedly, stating in the complaint that Saint says she told Broner no multiple times, adding that she told him she was not interested in men and stated that she preferred women. The suit also targets Dean the Great directly, alleging Saint insists she and Broner never had sex, but alleges he made comments while on a live stream suggesting they did, and that Shabazz, Dean the Great, made defamatory statements about her when he told watchers on his live stream that she'd slept with numerous people at the residence. The legal filing goes further than a single claim. Saint is suing Broner for sexual battery and assault, suing both Broner and Shabazz for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress, and also suing the streaming platform Kick for negligence. Legal reporting on the filing described the underlying conduct in stark terms, characterizing it as extreme and outrageous conduct exceeding all bounds tolerated in a civilized society. During a series of live streams in early June, Broner didn't stay silent for long. When his team was informed about the coverage, cameras caught the reaction live. Adrien Broner was streaming with Dean the Great when he learned in real time a woman was taking him to court over an alleged sexual battery. The former boxer was live streaming when an associate flagged to him the reporting about the lawsuit. Rather than going quiet, Adrien and his friends didn't seem to be too concerned, with the former boxer and pals making jokes about the situation. His formal response came through his attorney, who pushed back hard on the allegations. Adrien Broner fired back at his alleged sexual battery victim, claiming her one-sided lawsuit is full of unproven allegations. On his own social media, Broner framed the entire ordeal through a lens of persecution tied to his newfound success, posting that money is the root of all evil, and threatening to quit live streaming if more fake allegations surfaced. Now that people think he's rich again, that reaction, laughing off serious allegations on camera, then threatening to quit over what he calls fake claims, is the same pattern that shows up across nearly everything happening around Broner right now. Threats get made publicly, consequences get downplayed publicly, and somebody, usually Dean, ends up being the one trying to manage the fallout in real time in front of an audience. It's worth remembering this isn't Broner's first brush with off-stream legal trouble either. Years back, at the height of his career struggles, he was involved in an incident that made national headlines when Broner punched a man and shoved a woman to the ground when she tried to restrain him, an episode that came during a stretch when he was asking for help on social media, bemoaning the lack of assistance he'd received after having previously turned himself into Cincinnati police for charges of felony assault and aggravated robbery. That history matters here. because it shows that the pattern of public volatility followed by public backlash isn't new to Broner. It's just gotten a much bigger stage now that every moment of his life plays out live on a stream with millions of potential viewers. So when the Atlanta footage of Broner threatening to punch Mayweather went viral, it wasn't landing on a blank slate. It was landing on an audience that had, within the same summer, watched him laugh off a sexual battery lawsuit, threaten to quit streaming, and get a public warning from his closest collaborator about his drinking. Every new clip adds to a running tally that fans and boxing media are now tracking in real time. And Dean, more than anyone, is the person standing in the middle of all of it, trying to hold the whole operation together. So where does all of this actually leave things between Adrien Broner and Floyd Mayweather? The threat from Atlanta didn't happen because two boxers were negotiating a fight. It happened because a man who once called Mayweather family reached a breaking point loud enough for his own streaming partner to call it out on camera. Dean's intervention matters here more than almost anything else in this story. He wasn't reacting to a stranger's behavior. He was reacting to a pattern he'd clearly seen build for months. Across the money callouts, the exhibition demands, the drinking, and now a direct threat aimed at a man sitting in the same arena. When he told Broner on stream that he couldn't keep doing this, he wasn't scripting a moment for the chat. He was drawing a line that fans immediately recognized as real because it lined up with everything else that surfaced about Broner's year. The lawsuit, the death threat scare, the spending, all of it stacking up in the same handful of months. As for Mayweather, he hasn't publicly responded to this specific threat as of now. And given his history with Broner, that silence tracks. Mayweather has spent a decade absorbing Broner's public outbursts, the Walmart video call-out, the 10-minute rants, the Hateweather promotion's jabs, and largely responded only when he felt like it, on his own terms, usually through fight hype rather than direct confrontation. Whether he addresses this one the same way remains to be seen, but the pattern of the last 10 years suggests he will, eventually, in his own way. What's clear is that the 2023 apology, the one where Broner wrote to Mayweather thanking him for trying to help him, hasn't erased the underlying tension that keeps resurfacing every time Broner's life gets loud again. Reports covering his recent behavior have already noted the contradiction directly, pointing out that the most striking part of Broner's latest comments is that they directly contradict what he admitted only 3 years ago. A threat to punch the very man he once called family fits that same contradiction perfectly. Proof that whatever peace existed between them in writing hasn't translated into peace in practice. For Broner personally, the stakes stretch beyond this one stream. He's dealing with an active lawsuit, a business built entirely around his willingness to be volatile on camera, and a friendship with Dean that's clearly strained by the very thing that makes the content work in the first place. One report summarizing his current situation put it plainly, noting that he's trying to rebuild financially, stay relevant, and keep his name in the conversation at a time when his boxing legacy feels increasingly distant. Threatening Mayweather in front of a packed arena does exactly that. It keeps his name in the conversation. Whether it does anything for the parts of his life he actually needs help with is a different question entirely. For Dean, the position is just as complicated. He's built a channel and an audience around covering Broner's life as it happens, which means he benefits every time a clip like this goes viral. But he's also the one person who keeps stepping in when things go too far, flagging the drinking, calling out the behavior, and now being named in Broner's own lawsuit for statements made on their shared stream. He's simultaneously Broner's business partner, his closest friend on camera, and according to the Saint lawsuit, a co-defendant facing his own legal exposure, tied to things said during their broadcasts. None of that stopped the footage from spreading the way it did. Within a day of the Atlanta stream, clips of Broner's threat and Dean's response had been reposted across boxing pages, hip-hop blogs, and reaction channels, turning a moment that lasted maybe 30 seconds into one of the most discussed pieces of boxing-adjacent content of the week. That's the world Broner and Dean operate in now, where a threat made mid-stream, fueled by alcohol, aimed at a man sitting somewhere in the same building, becomes bigger news than most actual fights on the card that night. Whether Broner ever gets near Mayweather again in any capacity, exhibition, confrontation, or otherwise remains genuinely unclear. What is clear is that the bond between them, built over more than a decade of mentorship, betrayal, apology, and renewed hostility, is nowhere close to settled. And as long as Broner keeps streaming, keeps drinking on camera, and keeps bringing Mayweather's name back into every broadcast, this story isn't going to stay quiet for long. The next clip is likely already being recorded,